Okay guys, so I'm going to talk about Wusik DLooper. I'm going to run my standalone version, but you can use as a plugin, VST2, VST3, audio units on OS 10. And here's the interface for the standalone. You can change the audio settings by clicking on the DLooper here, Wusik logo, and going to audio music settings. I already have some audio loaded in here. And what the looper does, it allows you to load a sample that's a looped drum loop or instrument loop, and supports ACID wave files, ACID files, Apple loops too, and also REX files, and already comes with several sounds from perimetersounds.com. And let me load a program here, initial program, start. I'm going to show the difference between Wusik DLooper and other loop programs, because you have a sequence area here, and you can also randomize parts of the sequence. But first, let's take a look at the basic stuff. So I have the Wusik global menu here. Can check the version. This version was made today, February 5. And let me think here. We have the plugins manager, which is for the effects. All the effects added in here are plugins and are included with the Wusik DLooper installer. And we also have the audio MIDI settings for the standalone version. The plugins version doesn't have this. So let me create a very quick basic patch, and then I'm going to explain what I'm doing after a while. Just going to load quickly here the set. I'm going to add some effect. I'm going to add the reverb DX stereo. Let me hear what I'm doing here. Hold on. My volume is too low. So what I'm doing here, I have loaded this file here. This is from the perimeter example sounds. You can see here on the folder samples, perimetersound.com, which is included with the install. And I'm loading for the biomechanical beats 3, free loops, and beats and percussion. And it has loaded the sound here and is setting the beats per minute using my host, which on the standalone is always 120. So let's try with 140. I can use my up and down keys on my keyboard to adjust. It already stretched the audio. And I have 4 modes, mode 1, 2, 3, and 4. The mode 1, it uses a very complex code to really stretch the sound, but sometimes it doesn't produce a very in sync file. But my code always make the size of the whole loop the correct sync size. So if you hold a note, it's going to be in sync for several seconds. And in mode 1 allows you to pitch, to change the pitch of the audio. Let's pitch it down here. And it shows audio going to be processed soon. It takes a few seconds to process. But you can already see that the audio is not in perfect sync anymore, because the markers are in perfect sync, and you can see the waveform, it's a bit off. If you click on a marker and you move it right and left, you can adjust the marker. And that's why you have the other modes. Mode 2, 3, and 4, it just splits the audio and tries to do a granular synthesis with the audio manually, and it will produce better results with drums. I don't remember by heart now, I have to check the manual, but if I'm not mistaken, mode 2 is going to divide the samples into 4 sections for each one, for each zone. But it's going to reproduce a very in-sync sound instead. So now my marker is not on the right place. I can right click and ask to redo the markers, 1 per beat. So now you can see that it has redone the marker, because doing this, the markers are on the exact correct spot. So let me do a quick check on the manual here. And because I don't always remember everything I have done, that's normal. So let's take a look at the modes, because everything I'm talking about is writing on the manual, so there is a lot of information in there. And if it's not there, I'm going to check the code, and then I'm going to update next the manual after the video. But everything seems to be in here, but not the different modes from what I can see. Let's slowly check it out. The markers, the stretch modes. Yeah, I don't talk exactly what I'm doing with the other modes, but I can check that later, and I'm going to add to the manual. But usually, from what I remember, it's the way it divides the sound. Mode 2 is going to divide the sound by 4 areas, and mode 4 is going to divide the sound by 8 areas. So if the loop is very quiet, like just a bass, a kick, and a snare, mode 2 is going to provide best results. If mode 1 is not getting perfect in sync. Just one thing to keep in mind is that mode 2, 3, and 4 doesn't do the pitch changes. So okay, what are the markers? The markers are to start the envelopes, and also to determine where a section or a slice, as they say on other programs, starts and ends. So you can see that I have all these areas, sections between the markers. So if I go to the sequence, I can click to start one sequence, and I can select the sections that are between the markers. Now I can start adding the sequence. So I can also add random parts to the sequence. But let's go back to the wave first. As I was saying, the markers are to determine when the envelope starts, because the envelopes has no release and just have a attack, decay, and sustain. And let me just talk about the envelopes a bit, because I have the free mode and normal mode. The free mode is going to loop the envelope, while the normal mode is just going to trigger one time as a marker starts. Velocity is going to set, is going to be on the MIDI keyboard, it's going to react to velocity or not. Clipping is handy if you want to get a sort of hold effect on the envelope during the decay to the sustain, because it's going to multiply the output of the envelope by 10 and clip to 1 according to the value that is set here. So it's the clip value times 10 times the envelope and clip it to 1. So let me erase my sequence in here. And I'm going to remove the filter. You can hear that the decay is very fast, but since I'm clipping the output, it's producing this gate effect. And then you have the linear to exponential curve that you can change. Then you have the two filters that can run in serial or parallel. So if you click serial, it turns green, it's in serial. Otherwise, it's going to run in parallel. The smooth is an option to when you change the frequency by MIDI learn. You can right click here and select learn MIDI remote, or when you're doing with the mouse, so it doesn't jump the values too much. It tries to filter the values. So if I put it on the maximum, let me turn the envelope, the filter again. Let's turn off envelope. You can hear that the change on the frequency has some sort of filtering. And of course, you can turn that off if you want. Then the effects are very basic. You just add whatever effects you want. You can go to the plugins manager and you can add, click on the option and scan for new plugins. And here you can add, click on the plus sign here and add the folder for whatever you want to add. And you just click scan and it's going to scan. Okay, so I have scanned a few extra effects here. And when you add an effect, you can click on effect name. Usually, you can click on it. Let me check another effect in here. Now I have more effects. Let me. I'm not going to clean now, but the MDA's effects are the ones that comes with it, and then the Studio Verb on Windows only, though S10 doesn't have the Studio Verbs. But let me add the reverb from NVIDIA, and if I click now on the name, because I have two effects, I have the option to move backwards or move to the start. And since this plugin has presets, I can select the presets in here, and I can check all the options by moving up and down. And if I add more, oops, this is the vocoder input. It produces a sound for the vocoder. So it's not an error, it's actually supposed to sound like that. And I can move left on right here on the bottom to see all the effects that I have added. You can see that I can do that. But I can also click on the minus to remove, the little LED to turn on and off, and the other guy here on the bottom is wet and dry of the effect. So that's the effects section. We already talked about the filter section. We have multiple filters: low pass, band pass, high pass, and notch. Here on the top, you can also see that there's a beats option. So if you load a sample that you don't, where is my? Sorry. If you load a sample that you don't have any asset information or asset files of information on it, you can manually put the number of bits, and it's going to stretch according to what you have input, as long as the file size is the correct size and the number of bits is the correct number of bits. So let me think. What else? We have the loop option here, the reverse and play, and the MIDI keyboard. You can access the slices separated, or you can play with loop, without loop. You can check that on the manual. I have put. Let me show the manuals once again. I have put here the MIDI keyboard and show you the keys is right on the bottom here. The keyboard playback, and check the play whole file looped until notes released. What else? Or the option to play in reverse, and well, everything is in here on the manual. You can check it out to just play the keys and figure it out by the sound. Let me leave the manual open. And then we have the volume here, volume panning. There's a master limiter here on this LED that you can turn on and off. And then you have the start and the end of the sample. Which you can change in real time. And of course, you also have programs which you can left click, and browse for programs or save a program. And then we have the sequencer. The sequencer is in my opinion, the best part, because you can really do some different things right here on the sequencer. So let's say I'm going to, let me cancel this here. You can see here, no sequencer, click to create one and add the first step. So I already have all my steps here, all with the right proper markers. I'm going to click, and then it's going to show me all the slices. I'm going to select the first one, and there I have the first one. If I play, it just seems now I have a sequence. It's just going to play the first one, and I can have more than one sequence here, as you can see here. If you right click sequences, new sequence, you can add several sequences in here. So let me add another one, add a new step at the end. And I'm going to add the next step. Then I'm going to click here again on this empty part to add another one. Or I just click on the top here. And I'm going to add the four first steps, slices. And now you can adjust the volume and the panning. The volume is just adjusted from 1 to 0 to 10 by the right click, and the right click is going to adjust the panning. And if I right click and release, I can select if I want to be reversed or not, this slice.